Hi guys, welcome to another SLTV Wrestling Roundtable podcast. We are here as always. This week we found out that the WWE Draft 2025 is quote unquote imminent. So we thought rather than like last year when we went through every single superstar like a bunch of absolute psychopaths and decided where they were going to be because that's literally the only way I could put it. We were absolutely bananas. So anybody who actually listened to that episode, well done, because it was a slog doing it, let alone listening to it. We're going to do a fantasy draft. Uh, Basically, we're going to break it down. So we're going to do like who we think's going to move from Raw, who we think's going to move from SmackDown, any call ups, but we've like capped it at five people because I don't really like they don't really do a draft like they used to. I don't think so. It's all like a little bit. It's like moving parts. It's not like everyone's up in the air and that's where they land anymore. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a little bit more punchy and a little bit more interesting. Hopefully, I'm going to throw it around the table and then we will get into it and see where we are. Adam, are you okay?
Yeah, mate. The thing I remember about last year is going down the list, and then every now and again you're going, "Who's Eric? Who's Ivar? Who's Berto?" So hopefully we're all sort of
Who's
in
Gary
sync.
Bax? Yeah,
Who's Gary
Gary,
Baps?
Gary Bax.
Hopefully we're all in sync with who it is. Somber thing to start off with. Just want to say because the day that we record this. 8 years since the arena bombing in Manchester, so obviously thoughts are with everybody. I listened to a very powerful podcast this morning. So John Robbins, who does the Ellis and John podcast that I listen to, that I'm a big fan of, he started doing How Do You Cope, which was a podcast that he did with Ellis, but he now does it on his own and separately. And he interviewed the parents of Safi Roussos, who was the youngest person who died,
Wow.
and it's all about that's what happened that night and stuff, and the sort of just I think his name was Andrew, the sort of the dad's experience of being there at the evening, hearing the bomb go off because he was in the car outside waiting to sort of pick them up, and then sort of running in with his son to try and find his wife and his daughter, but then not necessarily knowing where they were, seeing ambulances just go, and he's sort of trying to figure out where people are going. Figures out that his wife is in Salford Hospital, so he goes to Salford to then, once he gets there, find out that she's been airlifted to Wythenshawe. So then at that point he has to go to Wythenshawe, and then people are asking around about Safi, and then ultimately it wasn't until the sort of morning after where they sort of said, you know, I unfortunately Safi's passed away. And then once his wife had come out of a coma, he had to break that news to her. So then it
Jesus.
was all the sort of, it was a really sort of, it was a heavy listen this morning, but it was really, really interesting, and one that I was so taken by it. And you could tell that like John, when he was interviewing him, was really taken by it as well. But yeah, it's mad to think that we're coming close to the 10-year anniversary of that happening.
It's insane that it was that
Still a
long.
shrine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize it was that long. You can't. I think that's a weird thing with time, isn't it? Like, especially with like a big, like, and big impactful thing like that, whether good or bad, I suppose. And then someone says like 8 years, and you're like, what is it? Like, you kind of like remember it happening and remember it like it being on the news and it being everywhere, and then it like slowly but surely like everything kind of like unfolding and that. 8 years is a long time. Like that's mad. Like, but yeah, it is. It's to be honest, it's one of them things that genuinely, still to this day, every time it gets talked about, me head always goes the same place, which is like, how did that even happen? Like, how did it even get to the point of that happening? Like, because
Yeah.
obviously in the arena, you would assume that these like things that get checked and everything else, and like people know where people are and what people are doing and why people are where they are and all the moving parts, I suppose. And every time it gets mentioned, I think the same thing is just like, how is that person that got away with doing it? If you know what I mean, like, or like getting to
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
point where they could.
It's,
It's
it's
just
one of
like,
those really sad. It's one of those really sad things where it's always a case of something like that needs to happen, or in order for protocols to be put into place, which sounds really, really stupid.
Yeah.
But like now, if you were going into the AO arena,
Mm.
there's scanners before you even get that
Yeah.
close to it,
Yeah.
and you go through so many different security checks and stuff like that. It's like when you read a sign of like um don't touch the electric fence or something like that. That's
Mm.
been put there because someone's touched the electric fence. And it's
Yeah.
like why are we waiting? We have to wait for something to happen in order to know the protocol to then protect it from happening
Yeah.
again, which
Yeah.
sounds so bizarre and
Yeah.
so backwards.
Mm.
But then some of the other things that they were talking about in the podcast were like um, none of the hospitals are allowed to communicate with each other. So like when he was at Salford and he was trying to figure out where his wife was, they said we don't know, we can't ask for details of another patient from another hospital because they're all in different trusts and it's
Wow.
GDPR and it's all that kind of stuff, which you just like, that doesn't make sense
No.
because that's really unhelpful. And then one of the other things was at the time, and this is what the inquiry went into, was like there was a very specific terror response thing where certain parties had to wait before then responding. And that was one of the things where it was like, actually, if that wasn't in place, if that procedure wasn't in place, you
Mm.
don't know how many lives you could have ended up saving. But because you had to wait a certain amount of time, it then delayed everything.
That's
Yeah.
mad. I
So
didn't know that.
yeah,
Gee.
yeah, honestly, it's a really interesting listen. How do you cope? Is the name of the
I
podcast?
honest to God could I'd just cry all the way through.
Yeah.
Like I know I would. Like I can't anything to do with like kids and stuff like that. Like obviously being a
Yeah,
dad of young kids.
Mm.
I just yeah, I'm not okay with my emotions anyway. But
Mm.
like I've either got none or too many. There's no in between. So yeah, like it's something I would love to be able to sit there and listen to or watch it, like Rach watches stuff with stuff that's happened with kids and stuff like that. And I'm just like, nah, that's not for me. That like
Mm.
I can't do that. Like it just brings it home a bit too much. Do you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
bit too thingy. Callum, are you okay? Try and keep it a little bit upbeat if you can. Like,
I mean, I'll try. I'm happy Adam
yeah.
mentioned that, being the one from Manchester on this
Mm,
podcast. If he hadn't, I would have done because it was something that I read on my phone this morning, and my initial reaction was the same as yours, Ty. I was like, how has it been 8 years?
mm,
Because I remember it so so well in a way where I remember looking at my phone like at 9:30, 10 o'clock and reading something where reports of an attacking at Manchester Arena,
mm,
and in my head, because I'd actually gone to the arena car park about 2 months prior because I was heading over to the BBC studios at Salford, and we actually parked up at the arena car park, and walking through that area, um, you know, thinking, wow, that's where the arena is. Only for 2 months later, it being on the news, thinking,
mm.
God, I was there 2 months ago.
Yeah,
And I mean, I can't help but, think of anyone now going to that arena, knowing what happened there.
yeah,
Um, like, it was kids going to watch a concert.
mm,
It was mums and dads, taking their children possibly to their first concert, and that's what happened at the end. Like, I think about the times where I've walked out of a game of football, whether that be mixed and whether that be happy or sad, and that's dependent on the result. But I never expect to come out of a stadium thinking that something like that could ever happen.
yeah,
Like coming out of the Motorpoint Arena 2 months ago after watching wrestling, I'm like thinking, I wonder what would have happened if that happened to me.
yeah, yeah,
And like you can't go into that sort of mindset because basically you don't want to let them win.
mm,
You
yeah,
can't afford to give up your own um you know aspirations and dreams of going to watch concerts and going to watch shows because you let those people win.
yeah.
um
I think
and I
that's the
think
thing though.
about
Like Adam was saying, it's like it sort of takes that thing to happen to make sure that it doesn't happen again, and it shouldn't be
yeah
like that. But that seems to be the way of the world,
yeah
I guess.
But I mean,
Like,
I think about the bravery shown by the survivors of the Manchester attacks, and also the bravery shown by the families of the victims of the Southport attacks last year, where a couple of the dads ran the London Marathon last month, um, as a tribute to their daughters. Like they were going to a Taylor Swift disco. You know, what sick person does something like that?
mm,
You know, to take out their anger and frustration at children. It's just, yeah, it's despicable.
yeah,
Um, and it's painful because it shouldn't have happened, and I think that's why we still remember it. 8 years on,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it shouldn't have happened. Safi should have been going to concerts at that arena,
Mm,
week after week, month after month, and because of one deplorable human being, her life and so many others were affected.
yeah,
And all we can do is sort of continue to remember their families for years to come.
yeah. We'll switch
The
it up.
reason why I've got so it's the reason why I've got a B in my Instagram name. I've had it since it happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, will always be there. And like one of the tattoos that I'd love to get is a B, but my personality, the way that I am, I feel like as soon as I get a tattoo, I'll go, "Oh, I don't like that anymore."
Where
So
did the B like the
it's the
idea?
Manchester Worker bee. It's a really like old and historic icon of Manchester.
Oh, right, okay.
But people really sort of latched onto it as a sort of symbol of we're going to remember this thing that's happened. And it's sort of it's had a huge resurgence now. Like there's
Yeah,
pin
dude,
badges
like I
galore, that kind
yeah.
of stuff, and
You see
Is
anything
it for
about
the
it?
B network as well, like the tram?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
Because obviously, like it being, it was an Ariana Grande concert, wasn't it? And she's
yeah.
been like,
yeah.
she's done stuff in the past and stuff like that, and she's got the B tattooed and stuff like that. So we always knew it was like it had, it's like it was connected to this, but I never
Mhm.
really thought about like why
I
the
think
B.
it's something to do with Manchester in the Industrial Revolution and worker bees. That Manchester was known for
Oh, right, okay.
trade work, physical work, and the sort of the colloquial thing was the worker bees go into the factory in the morning, and
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, I get you. So it's like that, like you kind of carry on and like you
yeah.
do what needs to be done, and yeah, that makes sense. It's all good. Um, we'll switch it up because
Mhm.
we start so somber so many times. There's too much going on in the world, too much bad stuff happening in the world that like one of us is always like, just want to start and yeah, just want to do this. We do
We're
it a
not
lot.
recording next Thursday, so I
Yeah.
hate to think what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks.
No, bloody hell.
Oh Lord.
So, so we're going from a proper heavy situation to just some greasy men hugging each other, to be honest. What we're doing.
Forcing people to move houses.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
just shut my door because it's getting drafty in here.
yeah, it's getting
Yeah.
drafty. Um, before we get into this, how can I put this? What are your thoughts on a draft? Like, are you like, yes, love a draft, or are you like, is it really needed, or are you like, do you need to change the way they do this? The superstar shake-up was always a bit shit, I'll be honest.
Hmm.
But
Mm.
as a draft, like, would you like it to go back to the old way of like war rooms and like a top 10 and all stuff, and like, do you know what I mean, like the way they did it? Or are you happy where it's like, oh, this person's on here now, or like, do you know what I mean? Because they sort of
I
announced a group of them, don't they, now?
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I preferred the this person's won a match, so they've won a pick for SmackDown. Blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah, this person's been
ah,
drafted.
right,
I
okay.
think
Yes.
that sort of add a bit more surprise to it
Yeah,
because like, the first one I remember, obviously I remember the sort of the initial one where they had the Raw and the SmackDown rosters, and then
yeah,
they did it again in 2004 where it was Bischoff and Heyman on a stage with a tombola,
yeah,
and doing all that kind of stuff. And no one big really moved then because they did the whole thing of like moving Triple H to SmackDown, but then
mm,
it was it was immediately vetoed, in that, and just to sort of, not disparage these guys at all, but yeah, Raw have made a deal with SmackDown. They've got Triple H back, and they've given SmackDown the Dudley Boys and Booker T just for Triple H. Like, what? 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 So they did all that, and then the year after was a strange one in that there were really big people that got drafted the year after in 2005, but it wasn't a one night thing. It was week after week, a new person appeared, and they were the next
Yeah,
draft pick.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
started with Cena appearing on Raw,
yeah,
and then it ended with Batista going over to SmackDown because he swapped the world champions over. But
yes.
I do like the sort of one night, you've earned a draft pick, and let's see who's getting drafted to, maybe not telling JR that he's now working on a
Yeah,
Tuesday,
that was
you
a bit of
know.
a weird one. That was a bit of a, but same with Corey. Corey wasn't happy, was he?
Mm,
So, you know what I
No.
mean? One of them.
yeah.
I so I like all that, right? But I would much prefer the idea of like no one's got a contract for a month.
Mm,
So no one's contracted anywhere. So you've
Mm.
got like a month in time. So say it's like April or like May or whatever it is, whatever month it is. And it's like, okay, so like it's the draft. So basically Nick Aldis and um what's his face?
Adam Pearce.
Adam Pearce,
Adam
that's the
Pearce.
one. Yeah. I was thinking Pierce someone and I was like, that's not his name. Adam Pearce have got to basically like
Brosnan.
yeah, yeah. Pierce Brosnan. Yeah.
Guy Pearce.
They've got a oh yeah, Guy Pearce, yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I was going. Adam Pearce anyway. Um yeah, they've got to basically like make it happen. Do you know what I mean? And they've got to do the thing. And it's like anyone can pop up anywhere. And then it's like the like so you've got like lesser people who are sort of okay, so I'll stay where I am and it's I've got a good deal and blah 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 and all that stuff. And then you've got like the bigger people who have like bits in the ring where it's like, well, where should I go? What should I do? Do you know what I mean? They kind of did it a little bit with Steph and Bischoff, if I remember, with like remember Triple H having like a segment on a
Yeah.
pay-per-view, and I think Scott Steiner was like going
There was,
backwards
there
and
was a whole
forwards.
thing about them trying to sign Scott Steiner.
Yeah, and
There was
then
a big thing about Lesnar.
yeah, being SmackDown exclusive, yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea of that always like the kind of undercutting each other and stuff I always loved that. Like that was like
Yeah.
2003, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
2002, 2003
Yeah,
time, yeah.
2002. Yeah, like I always liked that idea. So although they didn't do it with that much like no one's got a contract, so everyone's up in the air, they were like a good section of time where it's like anyone could be anywhere. And it's like,
Hmm.
are you gonna be on SmackDown or on Raw and what deal are you gonna make me and what are you gonna do this and that and that. I think that is like a really clever idea to kind of get people's faces out there and like
Mm,
make the sort of I've mentioned this quite a lot, but it's like make the superstar stock mean a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like,
Hmm.
yeah.
well, we really want you on SmackDown, so what have we got to do? Do you know what I mean? And it's like someone who hasn't been on TV for a while, or someone's been doing different. Like imagine it doing it now, and then them like kind of arguing over like Natalia because she's been in she's been on Bloodsport and she's been on NWA and like she's like been about a bit more. So it's like, well, now we want to make sure that you're on our brand because like you've been out there and you've done your thing. So what do we need to do? Do you know what I mean? And it kind of like builds that stock a little bit
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
wanting someone rather than it just being, oh yeah, we've just signed this person and this person and this person and this person, and that's that. Do you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
I do think it'd be interesting. Like, imagine just someone coming out on SmackDown, like I don't know, any like someone who isn't really like super predominant, I suppose. So you've got like I don't know, like a tag team or something. Like say Pretty Deadly coming out
Yeah.
and it just coming up at the bottom and being like they've just signed to Raw. So so it isn't a big thing, but it's like
Yeah.
these have just signed a contract. Adam Pearce has just like pursued these and they're going to Raw. So from this date they'll be on Raw.
Or even
Mm,
like a tag team, like Alpha Academy come to mind for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Where like Otis just appears on SmackDown on his own and says,
Yeah,
"I've had enough. I'm going on my own now."
yeah, that's it. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
just that's how you kind of, and it's like so everyone sort of falls into a category, and it's like you don't have to make a big thing. And then imagine like the WWE digital of like doing little things where they're like, yeah, I've just signed for SmackDown. I'm staying on SmackDown because of X, Y, and Z. I'm leaving
yeah,
SmackDown because of X, Y,
Mm.
and Z. Like all that just adds a little bit of like excitement, and then it's like no one's got a contract, so you arguably, or obviously it wouldn't happen, but you could be like, I could end up with two world champions on Raw because
Mm.
I've made them a better deal. And it's like, even though you've got
hmm
Jey Uso, it's like, well, I want John Cena on his last 20 dates on Raw, so I'll
yeah,
do make this happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
idea is
yeah,
always, it's just, yeah, I don't know, it's just building a story. I think that's just a better way of doing it, but they
Yeah.
don't seem to do it
See,
anyway.
I enjoyed the 2016 draft, mainly because we hadn't had one for 5, 6 years.
Yeah, yeah,
And it actually felt like a huge sort of shake-up of the roster because Raw from probably I'd say about 2010 until 2016 was the Raw Super Show. So
mm,
anyone could appear on it.
hated
And
that.
SmackDown felt like Raw Light for
Yeah,
so long. So when they had that draft in 2016, obviously we saw Finn Balor get called up from NXT because that was right around the time when NXT had sort of hit its peak.
mm,
So it felt like the names from NXT getting called up. It was like, oh, this is big because they're big in NXT.
yeah,
And like Balor had hit that level of being such a huge name in NXT that it was easy for him to go to either Raw or SmackDown and be a big star there. And then obviously like SmackDown getting names like John Cena, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, so many massive names moved over to SmackDown. It made that show feel so important because you'd be seeing names that were just you would see now and then on SmackDown, but they would be doing exactly what they did on Raw.
yeah.
So for SmackDown, that gave that show a completely new identity.
Mm.
And for like that year before Jinder Mahal, sorry Jinder, became world champion, SmackDown felt like the A show, and it
That
felt
happened
like the
today,
most.
you know. That happened
It,
so many
it.
years ago.
Oh, I know that happened. That happened today. Yeah, like like around this time a few
Yeah.
years ago. But it made SmackDown feel such a must-see show.
Mm.
But it also made Survivor Series feel like a must-see show as well, because for the first time in ages, you actually had Raw versus SmackDown rather than Team Cena versus Team Orton,
Yeah.
where it was like, oh, well, we've seen all of these people on the same show, so why is there actual beef between 10 wrestlers?
Yeah.
So to actually have one show competing against another show, it felt normal. Like there
Mm.
was a logical storyline to be told there.
Yeah.
Um, and I know I'm going to sound so much like Mike here from our sister channel or the sister podcast. Um, but make it make sense. Like if you want to do a draft, great. But I don't want to see John Cena appear on SmackDown if he's a Raw superstar.
Yeah.
Like they are exclusive to that brand, which would actually make a show like Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble feel important because you don't get to see them cross over between the two shows at all.
I think the
So
likes
it's
of John
it's
Cena,
so
he's a bit of
much.
a caveat with John Cena, but I do know what you mean.
Yeah,
Like these the odd person who you're like, all right. Like Cena is probably like the only person right now who you could argue that he can show up anywhere he wants. But I do know what you mean, where it's like if you've been drafted to SmackDown and then 2 weeks later you're on Raw, like what's the point? Like
yeah.
yeah.
why bother? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I do know what you mean. Sorry.
No, it's like the wild card rule from probably 6 years ago now, where it's like this person may appear on Raw, but it's like he's only allowed to appear once on that show. So it's like he
That,
all of a
yeah.
sudden turn
Every
up.
once every Tuesday in the third week of November. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just so
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
Just so strange that the sort of little things that they added after a draft to actually make the original draft pointless.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, go back to the days where if a talent's drafted to Raw, that is their show,
Mm. I don't
and they
think
can't
he's like
show up anywhere else.
there's not really a rivalry between Raw and SmackDown anymore. Like not like a rivalry in the sense that on screen. I mean, like it doesn't feel like it's two separate shows necessarily. It's not like I remember back in the day, it was like they were SmackDown was trying to make itself better than Raw, and like
Yeah.
Raw was trying to be like the mainstay and like the flagship.
They'd even mention it on commentary, wouldn't they? They'd be like, "You're not getting this kind of action on Raw," you know.
Yeah, like they should go back to that. Two very different, like like the production should be different, the way it looks should be different, but there isn't really that anymore. Like we've said touched on in the past about like AEW and Ring of Honor and Ring of Honor being this thing where someone should take over it who's within the AEW family, and like try and bring it up to be something that is like must see.
Mhm.
And I think that should be a thing. Like, although Triple H gets the final say, it should be like separate people. I'm not sure if it is at the minute, to be completely honest with you. I just know, I know that um, Triple H apparently dedicates like 6 hours, 7 days a week to do the creative. Um, I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that because it's one of them where it's just like, wow, you're getting burnt
You
out to
got any
shit.
more time there, Paul?
Yeah, like wow, 7 days a week for 6 hours, like my God.
How
Um,
can someone plan that far in advance as well? It's like imagine if he like said, "Oh, I know who's already going to win the Royal Rumble in 2026.
yeah,
Next week on Raw, that somebody gets injured and is out for a year."
yeah,
It's like, "Oh, I've just wasted 6 hours of my whole day. Not going to get a
yeah, yeah.
Rumble win."
It'd
That
just be
sounds like
one of
my life.
it's short though. It'd be like, okay, we want this person to do this, and then it's like, okay, well, we'll slot that person into that storyline, and then we'll
Mm.
Yeah.
just change it as we need to. But I don't
It
know.
goes back to everything that you've been saying about the creative team and that you should have someone assigned to a title belt.
I will die on this hill. I swear to God. This is the hill that I am going to die on. Like one, if anybody asks me, "Hey, what's your wrestling opinion?" That like nobody else thinks of or whatever, it's this. It's that you should be creative, and it should be like, right, you are booking the world title. You're not booking this person. You're not booking this story. You're booking the world title. So you until this person like loses it or till the end of the year, give me your best shot, and we'll do that. Or it just honest to God, it would make everything make so much more sense. Like it should be like that in every company, every
There's
single company.
um there's a picture online that I've seen recently floating around of like someone's name badge over the years, and it starts off with like bar staff, and then it says assistant bar manager, and then it's bar manager, and then it's food and drink manager and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
like imagine being like, I started out writing for WWE for the 24/7 championship, and now I am booking the World Heavyweight
yeah,
Championship.
yeah. Now I'm booking John Cena doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like I do think that's the way, like, because obviously if you're doing like storylines and whatever, like if you so say somebody was like, give me the next 6 months of the women's intercontinental title, then that title would mean something because
Yeah.
you've got 6 months of content to
Mm.
be like, okay, she's gonna do this, and she's gonna have a match with Becky, and then Becky's not gonna win it, and then it's gonna come back to this, and we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna go here, and all that. Like that's what makes sense rather than being like, okay, so what are we gonna do at Lara Valkyria? It's like no, like it doesn't
Mm.
matter about that side of it. What matters is the title and making it important. And I genuinely think that's what's missing
Mm.
with every wrestling company. Like if we started a wrestling company, we're getting people to book the titles, not the talent. That's the way it works.
Mm.
Okay. Um. Anyway, sorry.
AEW can't afford to hire that many people, so that's why they don't do it.
Well, no, that is apparently. Is it RJ City? He does a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He does a lot of creative stuff. I think
yeah,
he's the timeless Tony thing.
yeah.
Uh,
So
but
he's juggling title belts, and then Tony Khan goes, "I've got an idea. We're going to
yeah,
introduce a new title."
yeah,
No,
yeah.
not again, Tony.
Yeah. But I think they're dropping titles, aren't they? We have talked about this. I think
Yeah,
all in or all out, all in possibly.
the not continental intercontinental.
Yeah, I can't think the continental
Yeah,
title and the international title.
international.
Yeah. But
The
totally going
Continental.
off kilter here. But so TNA have now got an international title, right?
Yes.
Instead of the digital media title. Smashing. All
Yeah.
good. Steve Maclin's won it. Fantastic. It's a bit too blue for my liking, but the title looks like the gold looks nice. Else is just too blue. I don't like
He's
blue
blue, lads.
sound.
He's blue.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, that's by the by. But Steve Macklin and Eric Young had a dog collar match not last week, but the week before on Impact. It was brutally shit, man. Like it was mad. You know, when you're just like, why are you doing this for free? Like, throw this on a pay-per-view or something. Like, what are you doing? Like a dog collar match at the end of Impact. I was just like, what are we doing here, man? What's going on? Like, wow. But yeah, if anybody
Just think
watched,
you could have been watching Mission Impossible 3 instead of that.
yeah, this is why I watch too much wrestling because I watch like 17 companies, and I've just got an email saying
Oh God.
that they've announced MLW has announced Matt Riddle versus Kenta for the MLW World Title. I think that'd be a really good match. I'll be honest with you. Like,
Don't have the time.
love Kenta. I do.
Speaking of time, it's 7:15 and we've not done any draft picks yet.
Anyway, anyway, right. We've got five from Raw going to SmackDown. Okay, we'll start with this. Raw to SmackDown. Who is your first Raw person who is going to move to SmackDown? Adam.
I'm I want you both to do this. I'm working like I'm building up. I'm building up to my biggins, right? So
Okay.
with this one,
All right. Okay.
I'm mainly doing this one now because all will make sense when I'll reveal who it is. But Monday Night Raw, things that happened, I think shit all over this pick. But I thought it was the right thing for her to do, so I put Zoe Stark down.
Oh, okay. So Zoe Stark from Raw to SmackDown.
From Raw to SmackDown, but because she's injured now, I
Yeah.
don't think that is going to happen.
No, I don't. Apparently she's like proper injured. I've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But she was only in there to take the pin. So, mm, yeah. But I don't know. Okay. So if we're gonna go with women, right? Um, Callum, have you got a woman wrestler on your five that you want to move from Raw to SmackDown?
I've got two. One
Okay.
is part of like a stable, and one is a standalone singles star. I'll go
Okay.
with the stable first, and that is Alpha Academy. So Otis, Tozawa, and
Oh, so
Maxine Dupree. So the
the
whole
whole of
three.
Alpha Academy. Okay.
Just feel they've almost just grown stagnant on Raw,
Mm,
and I'm not really sure what else they could do on SmackDown. But I feel sometimes with talent who only really appear once every few weeks could
yeah.
just do with a change. Um,
I mean, Tozawa's gonna his ass handed to him by Rusev, so
well,
that's
that's why I think they could just go to SmackDown just for the
yeah.
sake of it. Yeah, they've lost in this feud against Rusev. Send
Yeah.
them over to a different show.
Okay. So we're getting somewhere here. Who's your other woman, singles woman?
My other female pick is Rhea Ripley to SmackDown.
Right.
Rhea
That
Ripley to SmackDown.
have you got Rhea Ripley to SmackDown? Okay, so have I.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
Hey,
automatically Rhea Ripley is going to SmackDown.
yeah.
Okay.
they need
Uh,
a big name on that show.
And she
In
needs
terms of the
something
women's
new to do.
division. Yeah,
yes.
She needs new people to face.
Yes. Needs to get away from Liv. Liv needs something new, I think.
Roxanne
Yeah.
Perez.
Yeah, I don't
Oh yeah.
know. So yeah, I've got Rhea Ripley. So we've got the possibility of, well, I guess Zoe Stark is out, isn't she?
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like it was a bit of a nothing pick, mainly because of what happened on Raw. But she was that kind of pick where I think because of Shayna getting released, and obviously Sonya got released earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Now that they were keeping her around as a single star, I think to give it a bit of a refresh, that
Yes.
would have made sense. But obviously, here we are.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we've got a woman moving over there. Right. I've got like two big stars. Um, a women's division person, a tag team, and then a lower person. That's the way I've kind of done it.
Okay.
I've got two big ones left and a lower person left. I don't have
Right.
any
I,
tag teams.
I've
So
got a tag team, one sort of mid carder and one big name.
okay. So we've got Rhea Ripley there, right? So I have got one of mine. Is Karrion Cross because I
I've
just
got
See,
Karrion Cross.
okay because I just think he needs something new. Have you got Karrion Cross, Callum?
I haven't, no, but when I was talking about Alpha Academy, I did think about carrying Cross.
I think he's one of them people who like he needs something, and being on Raw just he hasn't got something to like get his teeth into, and I
Mm,
think he could do a lot more. Not a lot more on SmackDown. He could do a lot more anyway, but I feel like that change of pace could be good for him to be like, okay, we
mm,
can like reintroduce him a little bit, and he could be
yeah.
a bit of something.
I feel
Um,
like a Karrion Cross Alistair Black feud almost writes
yes,
itself.
yes,
Mm,
yes.
So
yeah.
Do it. Put him against Jacob Fatu and give him the title. I'm not bothered. Like let it happen. You know what I mean? So good.
I'm saying Cross goes on the list then.
Yeah.
I
So
think
we'll put.
it would definitely benefit him because of SmackDown being 3 hours. And I did read a report
Yeah.
yesterday that there's plans for it to stay 3 hours. And I
Yeah.
think that extra sort of half an hour that SmackDown gets can give someone like Cross promo times, can give him a
Yeah. Yeah.
feud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because there's definitely more people that get featured on SmackDown than there are Raw,
Mm.
which I think does hinder the show at times
Yes.
because the sh- the current crop of talent on SmackDown doesn't feel as big as the crop of talent on Raw. Like
Mm.
to think on Raw this week, you had like CM Punk, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker, and Jey Uso all in the ring together. That feels far more important than anyone currently on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And that's a real issue, especially when that show is a 3 hour show. So the more names that you get across on SmackDown that could benefit it, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm moving Scarlett as well because you can't have the one without the other.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Ty, have you got a tag team?
I have got a tag team. Yes.
Because I feel
I've got
like then
I've got a tag team.
I I should have you got another tag team other than the Alphas?
Yes.
All
Oh
right.
right, okay. I was gonna say if you just had the Alphas and then Ty had one, I was just gonna pick between the two, but go on.
So my other tag team are the War Raiders.
Mine too. Like.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I thought because it's right. Here's the thing, right? So I was trying to think of a Raw tag team, which I'll be honest, it's super sparse. Like there
Hmm.
isn't a lot going on in the Raw division in tag teams. But then I thought you need to kind of move because I've got somebody moving from like a tag team moving from SmackDown to Raw.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I thought you need someone moving over there to like mix it up because the SmackDown tag division is really good, but
Yeah.
it's like the same four people or four teams like kind of
Hmm.
like going about their own thing. You should need something to mix it up. And I kind of just landed on Raw Raiders because there isn't anybody really else who are a proper tag team at the minute.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Part of me was kind of like maybe a Finn and JD to get them out of the Judgment Day, but I just thought it's
Hmm.
not gonna work like that. I don't think. Like,
Well, to your point about the tag teams, that I think that was the reason why, because I've got a team moving from SmackDown to Raw, but
Hmm.
I purposely didn't have any teams moving from Raw to SmackDown because I just thought I think Raw needs more teams
yeah,
rather than losing any teams.
Hmm.
yeah,
And SmackDown's got teams to spur, and I think the one that I've picked makes sense. But obviously, we'll come to that. But
right.
Yeah.
War Raiders are on the list because you both picked them. So far, you've got Rhea Ripley, War Raiders, and Karrion Cross.
Yeah. Oh, we're
Okay.
running out of space here. I've got a big thing that I don't think's gonna end up happening because of the way we're doing this.
Hmm.
Anyway, um, so who wants to throw out another name?
Well, mainly because you just mentioned him, I've put Finn Balor,
Oh, okay,
but just Finn.
okay. I have gone bigger than Finn.
Are you moving all of them?
No, just a bigger
Oh,
name. I've got
oh no,
two.
I've still got another big name.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
All right.
I've got Finn.
Okay. So I don't. Right. Okay. So we've got two picks left.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's just throw out all the names that we've got left and
Okay.
work it out that way. All right.
Right. Well, I've said mine, so you can throw another name out now, and
Okay. So
we'll go
my
round.
my other l- big name. One name's right. So I've got one really big name and one really big person, I suppose would be the way to put it.
Okay.
So me big name is CM Punk to SmackDown.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it would. I would have to watch that show. That's not very nice of you.
Yeah. I
I,
think
I'm
I
enjoying two and a
think
half hours of wrestling a week.
so I think Punk, but then do you want me to just kind of spoiler this for you?
No, Callum, say another one.
Okay, go on.
Right. This is my lesser name. And
Okay.
Yeah.
this is where you're going to say, oh, yeah, Tiffany Stratton's going to go to SmackDown. I'm going to be that kind, loving person that everyone on this podcast that knows that I am. And now that uh, Giovanni Vinci is no longer around, I'm going to say that Ludwig Kaiser moves over to SmackDown to be with his
Okay.
partner.
Does just Ludwig
Well,
or
Well,
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 well.
that
My
might be
big,
my
my
final
big
name.
name, my
Yeah,
big name, my final name, Gunther is moving to SmackDown.
see I thought Gunther.
yeah.
Right.
Gunter is my final name.
Right, so Gunther's gotta be in there.
Yep.
Okay. So so what's your last name?
Ours is Gunther.
Yeah, so you're both got on Gunther.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so we need one spot, right? So we've
Yeah.
got
What's your final
Gunther.
name?
Not Gunther because he's in. So
Yeah.
you haven't got any names left.
No.
no,
So who's
All the
left
ones that are
over?
left. Right. So all the ones that are left: Alpha Academy,
Yeah,
CM Punk,
yeah.
Ludwig Kaiser, Finn Balor, and then whoever you say.
Okay, so this is gonna um okay. So from Raw and you'll understand why I'm gonna give you more information about me SmackDown and Raw thing. So from Raw to SmackDown, I think Jey Uso is moving. And from SmackDown to Raw, I think John Cena is moving. I think they're swapping the titles.
No.
What?
I don't have
Why?
faith. I don't have faith that Jey
No.
Uso is going to be the world champion by the time that they do the draft.
Fair point. No, because no, because you can't move. You can't move Jey Uso and not move Io Sky, and you can't move John Cena and not move Tiffany Stratton because the titles match.
I understand that, and I understand what
Oh,
you're
no.
saying.
The
But
title lineage will go down the tubes again.
No,
I feel
we're not
like
doing a Lynch and Flair. We're not dropping
no,
belts
no,
on
no,
that.
no, no, no. I don't think they'll change. No, I don't think they'll change. Like, oh, you're the world heavyweight champion and you're the WWE champion. I don't think they'll do that. They won't swap belts. I feel like Netflix would push to have the WWE title on there. If they've got the option, I think they would push because the WWE title is arguably the title. And with John Cena having it, I think Netflix would be like, hey, we want Cena. I'll be honest with you, my last pick originally was Reigns, but I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think
I
No,
don't
he's,
think
yeah.
he's around enough.
yeah, that's what
Where,
I mean. He was
and I
me.
wonder about that with Cena, to be honest. I
Well,
mean,
that's
I
the
could see
thing.
Cena sort of being a floating champion.
But if you think about it, it's the last year that Netflix get the WWE title, not the World Heavyweight title that got
Mm.
made 28 minutes ago. You've got the WWE title with the big WWE on. You've got John Cena as the main guy. Like, if they're doing a draft and Netflix don't push for Cena and that title, they're mad.
Mm.
Which means Jey Uso's moving over. And I'll argue that the World Heavyweight title is more synonymous with SmackDown than it is with Raw.
But then you've got to move Io and Tiffy as well.
I understand that, but that can happen at a later date or whatever. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, so Kaiser has to stay on the same on Raw then.
that'll
Imagine
happen
him like
after
switching them over.
that'll happen when someone gets cashed in on. There you go.
Well, right. So Jey Uso, Finn Balor, CM Punk, Ludwig Kaiser, Alpha Academy. We've got
Okay.
to pick one of them.
All right, not on against Callum, but Alpha Academy aren't going, are they? Let's be honest. It's not going to be our number one pick. So, not against you, but we've got a caliber of people here, and then we've got like Otis is everywhere. He's over as shit, then he like you can't.
Right. So then at that point, can I take Ludwig Kaiser off if we're talking about a caliber of people? Nothing
Oh,
against him, but I feel like we're in a sort of three-way here of Finn, Punk, and Jay.
Yeah, even Finn, I would say.
Fine, fine, fine. I'll take the loss, being as Callum's just taken two. Right, so then it's between Punk and Jey Uso. And
The
again, between the
caveat
two,
being, Jey Uso has got to be it's whoever's the champ. So it's Jey Uso because he's the champ. Doesn't necessarily
so
have to be Jey Uso.
but then at that point it could be Gunther.
Arguably, yeah. Or
It
whoever
could be
cashes in on.
Paul.
Well, it's whoever cashes in because I think whoever wins. I think whoever wins Money in the Bank is going to cash in on that Monday.
oh, not
So
already.
No, I want a longer one.
So
I'm more inclined to say CM Punk
okay,
than Jey Uso.
I think Punk makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, I do think the titles are going to change. Genuinely, like I just feel like because it's on Netflix, it's just a
They
bigger
need the
thing.
WWE champion on the
WWE
WWE
champion,
show
John
on
Cena, the
Netflix.
WWE
Yeah.
champion,
yeah,
is going to be on Netflix. Like you've got to think it's more. I know, I understand that he is on Netflix because he's over here. Like
mm,
we don't have a differential, yeah, between
mm.
Raw and SmackDown because they're both on Netflix. But
Yeah.
in America, it's like, oh yeah, the USA Network, that big network has got John Cena there for the next 27 dates.
My issue is going to be, they're not going to be bothered about the fact that I OCD boy start twitching when I watch Raw
And
and
I think
SmackDown
they
because
would
the
change. I
titles go
think
up
they
match.
would
I
change.
don't think they would. I genuinely don't think they would.
Okay, I'm just saying. Maybe they
They'd
wouldn't
probably
because
get a kick out of the fact that they've got two separate designs on both shows.
maybe I don't know, but I don't. This is the thing. I'm not sure because now you say it, swapping just them titles, all the other titles fall into place with
Yeah.
what
The
looks
tag
like.
titles as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So
And the IC title is more more aesthetically similar to the world title than it is to the WWE
mm.
title.
Right,
So,
well, Jay's not moving then.
all right, okay.
what
So,
what was
Punk's
your
moving.
answer, Ty? Because I'm saying Jay because I'm not even thinking about the
You're a
titles right
bastard.
now. I'm not thinking
well, that
about the
means nothing.
titles
Let's see.
because I'm thinking of I'm not moving the bloodline of Solo Sikoa and company
Yeah.
over to Raw. So if
Okay.
Jay went over to SmackDown, you could then get something along the lines of Jay, Jimmy, and Jacob against Solo. I'm just going to call him Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo,
Yeah.
and either Tonga Loa and Tamatonga once Jay has dropped the title. You can also then have Cena on Raw on Netflix feuding with CM Punk. That feels more of a Raw feud than CM Punk going over to SmackDown to feud with John Cena on SmackDown.
Oh, I'm just writing Jey Uso down.
If you, I think Jey Uso, but I also think Punk more than Gunther. So
No, 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 no. Gunther is agreed on me and Callum.
I know. I'm just
No.
saying. So we're
We've
going.
already got one pick locked though from SmackDown to Raw,
Okay, so we've
and
got
that's
who's
Oh
John
yeah,
Cena.
that means by proxy we've got a John Cena. You absolute prick.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Imagine if both
Obviously.
world champions are on SmackDown
So number
instead.
one from SmackDown to Raw is John Cena.
I mean, I wanted to do NXT call-ups first before SmackDown because it's going to be messy.
Okay,
Because
well
we're going to
that's
have 15 names here. Because
that's
I
fine.
guarantee you, there's only going to be one that matches. I reckon.
Okay, well we can go into NXT call-ups now if you want, and then we'll
Yes,
do
please.
SmackDown to Raw.
Yes, please. Yes,
That's
please.
the schedule of the shows as well. Raw
Yes, it is.
first.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
all right, let's do that.
Yes.
All right. Do you want me to give you me? Are we starting at the bottom, so the lesser people, and then up to the top?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah.
Okay. I will start. I think all of Fatal Influence are going to SmackDown.
Okay.
Who are Fatal Influence? I could swear they've like two of them have been released.
JCJ,
Yeah.
Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix.
Oh, okay.
Nix.
Yeah, I only
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I just think Fallon Henley's going because she's probably the best out of them all.
Mm.
And I think they're just going to move the other two because it makes more sense. But yeah, she was one
Okay.
of my picks. I assume none of you.
Well, I've written them down.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Give me a name.
Lash Legend.
Yeah, Lash Legend.
Okay, we can do Lash Legends. Okay, where are they going? Where's she going?
How long have you said Lash Legend?
Yes. Yeah.
There we go. Lash Legend's going.
I was wrote Lashley. Fuck hell.
Lashley Legend.
Lashley, like, where do you think she's going now?
That don't matter. We didn't agree to this.
Oh, I'm just saying. I've just put them down. I just
This,
thought you might
this is
want to.
just the NXT call-ups category.
either
Right.
I don't know.
either
I don't
catering
know.
on a Monday night or catering on a Friday night.
Well, I thought I would say SmackDown would make more sense for her than Raw, but I don't know.
Actually, no. I think we're on. To be fair.
Okay. Did you
She's just
what?
getting
Yeah.
she's getting called up. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put Raw. Just you know. Right. Give me another name.
Go on, Colin.
Jordan Grace.
Ah, see,
Huh?
I bailed on Jordan Grace.
Already?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I
I
think
feel like she is ready if like
she
they
is
wanted to
right.
call her up.
I think Stephanie Vaquera is gonna come up before her because just
Yeah.
I think she's gonna drop the title. I mean, potentially a battleground, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. But yeah, I think she's gonna get called up before Jordan Grace because I think Jordan Grace is one of the people who can like she can definitely carry the division.
Mm.
So, and she's not like out of place there. She's not. I mean, she is really good, and she will be good on the main roster. But
Mm.
being downstairs, being down, being down there for
No,
like
she isn't.
Jordan,
not
come
Can you come,
upstairs.
can you come upstairs and appear on the podcast,
downstairs,
please?
Bring me a drink.
being down in NXT for another like 6, 9 months, whatever.
Mm.
Wouldn't hurt her, I don't think. Even if
I
she
mean,
got called up after the Rumble. Do you know what I mean? She
yeah.
just stayed on after the Rumble. But have you got
Initially,
Jordan
when we
Grace?
discussed these ideas, just to actually make a point, when it was like, oh, we're going to do a draft episode next week, I was like, cool. I'm going to call up Roxanne Perez and Julia.
Oh
They've
no.
both been signed to SmackDown and Raw. So there went two of my 5 picks. And I've just replaced them with Lash Legend and Jordan Grace.
That makes sense. Well, you got one for Adam in there, so that's good. You know what I mean? Is it my turn to pick a name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Tony D'Angelo,
I almost put Tony D'Angelo.
only because the families fell apart, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's either him or Stacks.
Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah. So I'll put all right. Well, we'll put him on the maybe.
Yeah.
Who have you
Right.
got?
I'll write Tony D down
Tony D.
and Jordan
Tony
Grace.
D.
I have another female.
Okay.
I have Jada Parker.
Oh.
No, I don't have her.
Yeah, I don't have her, but that is a good shout.
Okay. Right. So
Right.
she'll stay on the list.
Okay. Callum, give me one more.
Javon Evans.
I was thinking about this, but I don't know. Like, I think he's gonna be like the dude. He's gonna be like,
Mm.
like, it's gonna be too long before, like he's gonna be there too long and be like a couple time champ before he gets moved.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
Mm,
yeah.
mean? And it's like I think he's like he's good. He's just so good. Like he's so good in the ring.
And he's so young as well.
Yeah,
So
mm,
I think if anyone is going to get moved up, if we're talking the NXT title picture,
yeah.
Olber would be first. I've not put
Yeah.
Olber down. Olber's
No, I
not on my
haven't.
list right now
I
no.
haven't. No.
because I think that's a probably a post SummerSlam move maybe.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
But I think Javon's a babyface champion waiting to happen, isn't he?
100%. He could even
Yeah.
go through the North American title and then go to the world title. Like that wouldn't even bother me. Like
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
matches he could have with that North American
mm,
title would be sublime. But yeah, I was so close to putting him down, and then the only reason I didn't was because I was like, he's one of them people who like you tune in to watch. Do you know what I
mm,
mean?
Mhm.
So he's like, oh, he's on NXT, so I'm gonna watch him on NXT because he's doing all this crazy crap. Do you know what I mean?
mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so close to putting him down. Um, is it me?
Yeah, your turn.
Yeah.
Ethan Page?
Yeah, Ethan
Mm,
Page.
No,
okay. Ethan Page.
you don't think Ethan Page?
No, I didn't write Ethan Page down. I don't know. I think it's maybe because I just think that he's not been there long enough yet. But I mean, I suppose it was on AEW, weren't he, for however long?
Yeah, but he won the title. He was the quickest person to win the title in NXT history from his signing until Ricky Saints.
Was he NXT champion?
Hmm?
Yeah.
Forgot about
Yeah, I put him on Raw.
that. Right, never
If
mind.
that makes any
Yeah,
odds to
good,
anyone.
good pick for you too. Well done. I forgot.
I put him on the opposite show of the Miz.
Right,
I mean,
okay.
the Miz can go down to NXT as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But
Well, that
yeah,
means
yeah,
that
Ethan
means
Page
Carmelo's
strong.
going down as well, and you don't need that. Know what I
No.
mean?
No.
Jesus.
Um, I've got so I said Jay Parker. Lexis King.
I was thinking Lexus King.
Mm,
Right, so I'll be honest with you, right? I swapped and changed between Lexus King and Ricky Saints. I'll be honest.
See, I think Ricky Saints is too early.
See, this is
yeah,
the thing though, right? I thought this, right? And then I remember reading that like the only reason he didn't go to the main roster is because of all the storylines going into WrestleMania, so it just made more sense for him
yeah.
to
Right.
be in NXT, which does make sense, but it also makes you think maybe they just wanted him on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? So maybe like as soon as they can, they're gonna move him up. I don't know, but that's why I put him down because I was like, maybe they're
Because
like,
I put Lexis King down because he's dropped the Heritage Cup, so there's no sort of tying him down to NXT now.
yeah, Lexus King would be good. Like,
Do you
yeah,
think if he were to go to Raw or SmackDown, would they lean into the fact that he is Brian Pillman's son?
I think
I
he
don't
does.
know because they've not done it with Bron Breakker, have they?
Yeah, he doesn't really want to, does he? That's the thing.
No. It's really strange because I just wonder, like, for someone who is a real casual fan, them saying, "Oh, by the way, this is the son
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
this guy," that would add so much to it because there aren't obviously like you've got Orton and Cody, and a few others. Like, there's so much to be made out of it being a second generation
mm,
superstar, and I think whilst us as fans will know that he is the son of Brian Pillman, um,
yeah.
them actually saying that in story might actually add a lot to his career.
But
Um,
saying that, Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas are like third generation, and that never really got mentioned.
True.
You know what I
True.
mean? You can get on without it. Obviously, it'd be a bit weird to be like, "Oh yeah, do you know IRS? That's Bean's dad." Like that would be a bit weird. But
Yeah.
like they can't, you can't do it without. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
definitely. I mean, it's like
So
dependent on the characters as well.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
thinking that spooky guy is the son of is yeah, is the son of IRS.
yeah.
Um, I'd thought about both Lexis King and Ricky Saints. I just think it's too early for Ricky.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
Lexis King's a possibility, but I didn't have him on my list.
Well, I've got one
Right.
more
Well,
name.
I've got one more name.
I've got two more.
Okay, so who's one of yours?
Well, I've got Wesley,
Oh, that'd be a good one. I haven't put
Hmm,
Wesley down,
that
but
would
that
be
would be
good.
good. To be fair, the whole
and
faction would be quite good.
yeah, and then I would assume that everyone's last one, because it feels natural was Trick Willie.
Yeah,
Trick Willie and the
Trick
Billy,
Williams.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Come on, that's it.
Right.
Trick
So
Willie.
we've got a definite three. So we've got definitely Last Legend, Trick Williams, and Ethan Page. So then of the other ones that we've got left,
I
there's
think
Jada
Trick's
Parker,
going to Raw,
Wes.
by the way, just so you know.
You think Trick's going to Raw?
Yeah.
I think right. So the ones that are left: Jada Parker, Wesley, Lexis King, Fatal Influence, Tony D'Angelo, and Jordan Grace. If I had to pick two of those, I would go Wesley and Fatal Influence.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think Wesley. Would you take just Wesley?
Well, I suppose you could do his faction, couldn't you?
Mhm.
I don't know what they're
You could
called.
do
High.
all of them. Yeah, because I think Tony D, I think is a gimmick that is almost designed to fail on the main roster, which sounds awful, but it's just one of these where I feel like as soon as
Yeah.
he comes up, it's just going to get lost.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know
Jada
because
Parker possibly too young. Jordan Grace, I think, is too early.
Hmm,
Mm.
I don't know, like the D'Angelo thing. See, I suppose yeah, because it's one of them where you've got to look at it now with Triple H being head of creative. It's not like, oh, this person's doing well on NXT, so we'll bring them up, but completely change who they are, so you don't know.
Yeah.
So everything that they've done doesn't mean shit anyway. Like, like Roxanne Perez is still the prodigy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Julia's still Julia. Like, I think they keep the gimmick and they keep like that build. Do you know what I mean? So that does make sense, but then it is a bit, yeah, it's a bit like,
It's a bit ruthless aggression, lower card
yeah,
occupation
yeah,
gimmick.
yeah. I get you. Yeah, defo. It's like, um,
It's
yeah,
full-blooded Italians. He'd be with Nunzio and Johnny
that's the what I was
Bolt
just
if
thinking.
they were still around.
Yeah, unless he just cooled it off a little bit, but
Mm.
he changes his gimmick slightly because it's like he was like that with the family. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to
Yeah.
be a soprano and that. It's a bit, yeah. I don't even know if he's from, like, I don't even know if his accent's real, I'll be
I
honest.
don't know.
No.
Don't know.
But,
Um,
yeah, maybe not D'Angelo then. So who are you saying?
I was saying Wesley and Fatal Influence.
I would probably agree with that.
There's
Do
still Lexis King around and there's still Jada Parker around.
Mm.
you think Lexus King could be NXT World Champ?
Possibly.
I don't think he could beat Oba though.
No, but I
No.
think him and Javon.
Yes.
So maybe then he stays down as a sort of like he could come up next year, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still young as well, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Know what I mean?
So
Yeah,
are we all right with Wesley and Fatal Influence then?
I would
Definitely. Well,
say.
it'd give a tag team on the women's division.
I was just
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, yeah,
Considering basically all of them got let go a few
yeah.
weeks ago. I mean, for what it's worth, if she was still in the company, Cora Jade would have been called up
Yeah.
The Cora
as
Jade's
part of this
mad.
draft.
It's a
Mad.
mad one. So
Yeah.
mad. Right, so the five NXT call-ups that we've got are Last Legend, Trick Williams, Wesley, Ethan Page, and Fatal Influence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mash and Trick are in a relationship, aren't they? So it brings them up together.
Yes, they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you care about that for those two. Care about Rupert Kaiser.
My boy Giovanni got robbed.
Bale Ludwig. Who cares
Yeah.
about Ludwig?
Nick.
Bale, before we move on to SmackDown to Raw, just dead quick. Do you think anyone's going to NXT?
No,
Like anyone's going to get moved down?
no.
I think, do you know what? Talking about him, I think Ludwig would be such a good NXT champ. Like, I really, like, he'd just be so good in that role. Do you
Yeah, and I do think there's an opportunity because he needs to sort of find himself again now, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Because I feel like they've quietly done away with Imperium.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
genuinely, not in like and like he needs to go down and needs to do this, but he could
yeah.
like, run with the title would be so good, I think,
Mm.
to just be like this absolute sublime wrestler, just killing it.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I
Well, I
haven't
think
thought about that like that was like 10 seconds ago that I thought
Yeah.
that up. Like,
I think someone like a Natalia could go to NXT and sort of be the coach style figure who, someone has to run through to get to the top of the division.
well, it legitimizes everything, doesn't it? When you've got someone who's been about a long
Mm,
time, it legitimizes a win, or it was like with Becky winning the title.
mm,
It legitimized Lara Valkyria when she beat him.
yeah.
When she beat her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's one of them. Right, SmackDown to Raw. We've got four
Right,
names.
that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, because John Cena's number one, baby.
Cena's already going.
Number one.
Right, so
Um,
then I've got obviously I've got my five names. I've got two. No, I've not. I've got one woman. I've got a tag team, and then I've got three other names.
Yeah, same.
okay. One woman, a tag team, three. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, so Chelsea Green,
Interesting.
Just Chelsea Green or with
just
Piper
Chelsea.
and
Well, I suppose you could have all of them, but she
Let's see
was the
who
one that I
it
wrote
is.
down.
hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting. I've not got that.
She was on my sort of short list and I took her out for someone else.
Well,
okay.
who's the woman on your five, Callum?
Nia Jax.
Right, this is interesting because I've got two names that I couldn't decide on, and I was going to decide right now. So I've put Naomi or Nia Jax because I think this feud with Jade, once it's done, they need to go. One of them needs to go the separate way because it's just like
Mm,
it's too like an intense thing to just be
Mm,
like on the same roster and not being asked about each other. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I put Naomi, but Nia Jax is a shout. Like as I say, I did put it down. Unless Jade moves, but I don't think Jade on Raw would
I don't
work.
think Jade on.
No.
yeah.
Um, Nia Jax the Raw wouldn't be a bad one.
I think Nia Jax mainly because you both mentioned her.
Mm,
Just because she's one of them people who like again, like like with Tiffany Stratton, like she needs a bit of a change. And
Yeah,
to swap to take Rhea from Raw and put Nia Jax on there, obviously not the same, but you could get out.
you're
It's
moving
like
powerhouse, aren't you? Yeah,
that's what I mean.
yeah.
Yeah, it's power and power in it.
yeah.
So
Okay. Um, one purely so that he can go and join his brother, Ray Fenix.
Yeah.
oh, I didn't put Ray on there. That makes sense. I didn't even think of that.
I mean, you can
Yeah,
already put a tick by that, so he's going.
yeah.
He is going.
Because
Who's
at
number
one
one?
point I thought about moving Penta, but then I thought I think
Mm.
Ray makes more sense.
Yeah.
I
Would you
think a
just put
match
them
between
as
the
a tag
Lucha
team
Bros and
basically?
New Day is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bros and New Day would be good. Would you just put them as a tag team straight off?
Yeah, I think that's what they seem to be erring towards because I feel like Penta as a single star he's not lost his aura or anything, but I feel like the booking has changed drastically since,
Mm. I
you
feel like
know.
he's one of them where it's like it's kind of outnumbered. That's the
Well, I think had they not been able to get Ray, I
mm,
think there's a very strong shout that he would have won the Intercontinental title.
yeah,
And then because they managed to get Ray, because again that only came through with AEW finally letting him go,
yeah, yeah,
that plans what sort of went hold off on that. We'll
yeah,
do them as a tag team.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why they haven't done a tag team with him and El Grande Americano? I've no idea. I don't know
Don't know. Don't know.
why that's
The
not
greatest luchadors of all time.
mad, mad. I mean,
Mad.
uh, my tag team seems though we haven't mentioned it. Oh, right, so I'm assuming this person isn't going to get in the list or on the list or whatever it is, but I put LA Knight.
Yeah,
I
got
put
LA
LA Knight.
Knight.
Oh, have you? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
We might
that's...
have
All right,
six
there you
here
go.
getting called up.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Right. He was like me bottom pick. Oh, God, no. Right, okay.
To be
So,
fair though, he's one of them where he's done everything that he can do on SmackDown, I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think he needs to move on from the US title. But
Yeah, and I could see him more as world heavyweight champion than I could do as WWE champion.
100%. And
Mm.
I was just about to say, if he moves and then wins the Money in the Bank and cashes in on Jay and wins the world title, That sounds like that makes sense to me. Like that's like a
Okay.
totally believable thing. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, so I've got a tag team and a fairly big name.
yeah.
I've got
So
a
do
tag
I.
team and an up and coming name.
Okay, well, who's the tag team?
Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah,
Right.
Motor City Machine Guns.
Okay, this is where it gets dicey because we've only got one spot. So, do we move the tag team that we all say, or do we hash out what this is? So, who's your next name?
Carmelo Hayes.
Callum.
Drew McIntyre.
Mine's Drew McIntyre.
Drew's only just gone to SmackDown.
Yeah,
That
but he's
doesn't make
just done it
sense.
all with Priest. It's
He's
another one.
only just gone over. That
Like
doesn't
Priest.
make sense to move him back already.
Yeah, but all right. So Miz is gonna have to move with.
Well, no, I'll just scrub Carmelo off because between Drew McIntyre and the Motor City Machine Guns, I think the Machine Guns are more likely to move.
Okay, well then, because we
Yeah,
all put guns, should we put the guns?
yeah.
Yeah.
Not the guns. They're way better than Motor City Machine Guns. But you know what? I was looking away
No,
there. What you say?
no, I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I actually didn't say anything. My face might have said something. Uh,
I mean,
so right, so then
my logic on Drew was the fact that he's been in a feud with Priest for around a year on both Raw and SmackDown. I
hmm.
don't want to see Priest go back over to Raw because then you've got the whole Judgment Day
Yeah.
shenanigans, which sort of
yeah,
controlled all of 2024.
Hmm.
And I just feel if they both stay on SmackDown, you can't really separate them. It's similar to like the Naomi and Jade sort of
This
thing.
is what I was thinking. Yeah.
And I know we've sort of shifted the two world champions around, but if it were to happen where Jay stayed on Raw, Cena stayed on SmackDown, Drew going after Jay would sort of work.
but
Um,
I think if you move Drew back to
yeah,
Raw with Seth still being there, with Punk still being there, with Jay still being there, like there's an awful lot of ground that we've already well
yeah,
tread.
He's gonna have to go to NXT then, isn't he? That's it. You have to go.
Solved it. NXT Europe
Yeah. There you
yeah.
solved it.
go. There you go. Smashed
Drew
it.
back, Drew
Yeah.
McIntyre versus Tate Mayfairs.
Madness.
So
Right.
right, do
Go
you want
on.
me to? Have you got the list, or do you want me to?
I've got the list, but you can do it if you
All
want.
right, okay. All right. Well, so Raw to SmackDown, Karrion Cross, the War Raiders, Rhea Ripley, Gunther, and World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso. Um, SmackDown to Raw, Ray Fenix, Nia Jax, LA Knight, Motor City Machine Guns, and WWE Champion John Cena. And then your NXT call-ups, Last Legend, Trick Williams, Wesley, Ethan Page, and Fatal Influence.
I mean, I could see that happening.
Yeah,
I'll
Yeah.
be honest.
I'll
Genuinely.
be surprised if none of them are right.
No, we've done that before. Remember when we got
I
like,
think last year we mentioned it, and one or two of them got released.
yeah,
So,
like,
I mean, let's hope there's no more releases. Let's just say
like I
that.
said at the start of the thing
And it's not the
last year.
15 picks that we've just made.
Yeah, last year they were just we were
Imagine John
absolute
Cena getting
psychopaths.
released by
Like,
WWE in his
yeah,
retirement year.
that's it. It's like, what are we gonna do with Drew? Drew's being released. What? What's going
What?
on? Yeah,
What?
but yeah, I was shocked at some of the releases. Like, it's a bit of a mad one, but I can't see there being any more between now and this. If this,
No.
if it even happens,
Yeah.
you don't know.
Well, I mean, we spoke on our chat about the fact that Ugly Blank and Mike D and Zazoya have been signed, but now it's just occurred to me that if they're supposedly launching NXT Europe, have they just been signed for NXT Europe?
Yeah, the NXT Europe thing's just bizarre. Like
Yeah.
they were back in the day when I seen that big map thing, I was like, that's insane. Like I'm so
Triple H
excited
was
for
like,
this.
"I'm taking over the world."
Yeah, I was like, this is going to be amazing. I'm like so excited. Oh my God. Like, let's do this. Let's make it work. I'm thinking about it now. You don't need it. Like,
Oh.
it's just not needed at all. Like, keep AAA, AAA. Like, if you want to have a thingy, like have a UK based company, like buy a UK based like buy Progress. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah.
one of them where it's, but then it's like
You buy us with that, by the way.
Well, it's like
We
in
come
me.
as a package deal.
It's yeah, it's in my head. It's like you can buy this thing and it become an entity of it's still itself. You can give it money so it becomes a bigger thing. You can promote it so it's a bigger thing, but it still exists how it exists. You've just got an eye on it. And anybody who is signed to AAA, or I assume people are signed to Progress. I don't know how that side of it works. You've got that the idea of like, okay, well, I've seen them here. Like who like whoever's booking it or whoever's running it or whatever it is, doesn't matter actually. Take Progress out of it. Whatever that is, whoever the head guy is, hey, whoever
Hey,
the head guy is comes in and is like, you need to look at this person and this person because they need like they need to try out because that's where they should be. So that's what I think it should. It shouldn't be NXT UK and NXT Mexico and all that. That's what I'm thinking. But
hmm,
I don't know. I don't know. Are you okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This
Yeah.
means it's time, doesn't it?
the,
Yeah.
the
Good
newest
stuff.
draft pick from downstairs.
Bedtime and bath time.
So, oh,
Who do you think's getting drafted from Raw to SmackDown, Ellie? No?
no one. No.
Bluey? Bingo? Moana?
Muffin,
No? Muffin?
Muffin's the one, isn't he?
Can't hold Muffin down.
No. Can't. He's got
Muffin Mania is running wild.
Muffin's the free agent who just goes where he wants. That's what he is.
What are you going to
Muffin's
do when
Heath
Muffin
Slater. I've
Hogan
got
runs wild
kids.
on you?
That's it. Um,
Oh.
right.
Right, I've got to say goodbye now. Yeah? Right. So
Everyone
go
say
on,
goodbye.
go on you
The
two.
Von
So we can do
Farren
it properly.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So now the child alarm's gone off. Um,
Yeah.
anything else we need to add before we can wrap this up?
I mean, I hope that there is a
Um,
Heath Slater of this draft. Because that again, going back onto the 2016 draft, the story of like Slater being sat in the room thinking, oh, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just
there's
realizing that it was him by himself. Like, I mean, I can't think of a perfect person because Heath Slater was so good for that role.
there's a role for
Um,
our truth just to keep
Oh,
turning up a brand that he's not been
100%.
drafted to.
yes,
100%.
definitely.
I mean, if our truth doesn't win on Saturday and start walking around with a world title, I don't know what's going on. I'll be honest with you. Like, if he doesn't start walking with like a proper plastic one as well, just like,
Mm,
yeah, I'm going to defend this title. Yeah, 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 I'm the champ.
mm,
I
No,
won.
that's yeah.
yeah.
But I think he
Carlito.
might. I think he might
Carlito
win
would
it.
be the Heath Slater.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you
He
Carlito
go.
will
just
be
sits
Yeah,
there in
yeah.
a room eating his apple and looking around saying, "Oh, that's not cool."
Yeah, that's it. Um, anything else, Adam? You wanna?
Um, kind of mentioned before that we're not recording next week. I'm away, it's half term, we're having a week off, all that kind of stuff. But when we do return, so when we record on Thursday, the 5th of June, we are doing an Ultimate Money in the Bank. We are picking our matches that would formulate the Ultimate Money in the Bank show from
Mm,
previous iterations of Money in the Bank. And I'm just going to say this now because we'll all say it anyway when we do it. Mine's the best. Because I've already done mine. There's 6 matches on it, and it's the best.
okay. We need some rules with this. So we need to talk
Rules
about.
are rules are
Okay.
1 match from each show, so you can't have 2 matches from the same show.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
he says that as he then looks at his and realizes that he's already got 2 matches from the same show. Oh, right, you can't have the same person twice. That was definitely a
Yeah,
rule.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
fair.
you
So we
can't.
could
Yeah,
do it. So I would say, so obviously, right. So the way it works is the ultimate pay-per-view that we do. So it works. The way it works is we have matches from previous pay-per-views to
yeah.
create one mega pay-per-view. So it's like you have
Mhm.
one world title match from whatever year, and then you have the Money in the Bank from whatever year, and then you
Yeah.
compile. That's how you do it, right? But I would say every other match except the Money in the Bank has to have happened at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But there has to be a little asterisk to
Mhm.
say that if you want to use the Money in the Bank from a WrestleMania, that's allowed.
Yes, but I've not
Okay.
done.
Okay, that's fine. I
Yeah.
don't know what I like. I'm just gonna go and watch
So
20.
I've got on my card, just so that you two know, I've got a tag team title match.
Okay,
I've got two Money in the Bank ladder matches, so I've got a men's and a women's.
okay,
I've got a singles match.
okay.
I've got a Universal title match
Oh Jesus.
and a
Okay,
WWE title match.
okay,
I think we
okay.
can guess what the WWE title match is.
I don't think you can.
I don't think so. Okay, we can do this. We can do this.
See, I'm
It's
going to be
not
in
that
trouble
one,
because so
no.
many of them had Punk.
Is it not? It. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Oh, that's
It's
hard.
not. It's not that one
No.
Is it not that one because
of my
Punk's?
singles match.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I've got that
Okay. We'll
match
leave it
now.
there. We'll leave it there. Right. As always, stay safe, stay entertained, and watch the wrestling you want to watch. Unless you're a bit bored and you're going to be like me and try and find the best Money in the Bank matches, so you're going to watch 25 Money in the Bank matches in the next week. Um, that's going to be fun. I'll be honest. And we will catch you next time. Bye.